Just depends.
Okay, cool. So, all right. So thank you for joining me. I'm going to close my eyes. And the way I do these is I do them all intuitively. So sometimes I kind of have an idea of what's going to happen. Most times I could think it's going to go a certain way and it goes a different way. But I basically started doing these journeys during COVID. I had just learned Reiki, and I was actually on a Reddit group of all things of healers. And one of the other healers on the platform made a group for people to meet on a regular basis. And this is exactly what we did. We just each did an intuitive share of our gifts. And I came up with this meditation visualization. I shared it with the group. And then fast forward like a few years later, I started using it with my clients. And I really enjoy doing these. I feel like it is something that comes naturally to me. So I really enjoy doing it. So I hope that everyone enjoys it as much as I do. All right, so the first thing that I want to do before we start is if you have any wiggles or anything, let's get those out. So you can kind of wiggle your toes, move your feet around, roll your ankles. You feel called to just kind of tap on your calves and your shins and your knees. And just kind of what we're doing right now is we're just filling up every space in our physical body. So you can visualize this like water dumping into a glass and filling all the way from the bottom and coming all the way up and out your limbs, or whatever works for you, tapping, rubbing, jumping up and down, whatever feels good. But basically I just want us to completely fill up our physical vehicle. And if you have any spots that feel like they're calling to you or there's any kind of a sensation, maybe make note of that. You can even jot it down on your piece of paper. And we'll see if that can get sorted out before the end of the activity today. Okay, so after you feel confident that you've gone through every space of your physical vehicle intentionally, whatever way that looks like, I would like for you to take some deep cleansing breaths. Now, what I always advise for this is to breathe in deeply, to hold at the top of the breath as long as it's comfortable, and then to breathe out through your mouth. So we're just going to do a few of these breaths. As you're drawing in the air, I think it would be beneficial if, again, we pulled the energy up from our toes. So with the first breath, pulling the energy up from our toes. And now we'll go to the ankles. All the way up our shins and our calves. Now we're at our knees, the back and the front of our knees. We'll spend a little bit extra time here. Now coming up to the tops of our legs and the backs of our legs. Really just drawing that energy up, holding at the top of the breath, and as you breathe out, you're releasing any stagnancies. Moving through the lower back now, and the pelvis, and the lower abdomen. Up through the rib cage and the middle back. Up through the chest area, and the upper back region, below the scapulas. All the way up to the shoulders and the tippy top of your back. Down each arm and through the fingertips up through the neck, every part of the neck. And then the ears and the face, the nose, back of the head, all the way up to the tippy top of your head, past your eyes, and out your crown chakra. All right. So now our physical vehicle, we are present with it. We have cleansed it and cleared it of all stagnancies. And now we're about to leave our physical vehicle. So before we do that, what we're going to do is we're going to blow a bubble of energy around us, of sparkling gold energy. And this energy is going to keep our physical vehicle safe while we go on our meditative journey. Take a few moments here to envision this. The bubble can appear, or you can blow it as, though you're blowing up a balloon, whatever calls to you, whatever feels the best. And this bubble is going to stay here throughout the entirety of this exercise. And as we're ready, I invite you to relax into your chair or whatever space you're in, and we're going to start our meditative exercise. So the first place that we find ourselves is laying down in a field, in a meadow, with very long grass, with wild irises and wild violets. You notice as you're laying down here that you can feel the warmth of the sun on your skin. You can see the golden sunlight coming in through the back of your closed eyelids. You can smell the fresh fragrance, the subtle fresh fragrance of the wildflowers as they blow in the wind and bring the scent towards you. You feel the wind blowing. You feel the grass caressing your legs as it sways back and forth. You also hear this breeze. Maybe you hear a few birds in the background singing sweetly. And as you lick your lips, you can taste the sweetness of the flower's aroma coming into your field. Now, in this space and place, you gently, energetically open your eyes and you stand up. You're not wearing any shoes, so you can make really good contact with the earth that's below your feet. And as you stand up and begin walking, to the right of you, you see a wooded forest. You begin walking towards this wooded forest until a path presents itself before you. You're walking along this path, and the first thing that you see are two squirrels up in a tree on your right-hand side. They seem to be arguing. There's one acorn, and it looks as though they're having somewhat of a discussion about this acorn. As we step a few steps further, three fairies appear right around the level of our heart. And it looks as though they're trying to call our attention to something. It looks as though they're teasing each other and being playful. And then they fly out of our view. We continue walking further, and the next thing that comes into our vision is a pond with three swans. It appears to be a mother swan with two babies. Right now, there are ripples in the water as the baby swans are trying to navigate their flow with their mom, following her energy, trying to get in sync with her. Then the next thing we see is Mr. Toad. And he's not just any toad, he's actually the king of the toads. And it's unusual to see him the way we're seeing him today, because usually he's up on his stage. He's usually performing for himself in a mirror with his royal cloak on and his staff that has an orb on the top of it. But not today. Today, Mr. Toad is painting on a canvas. And he only breaks his concentration for a moment to turn to the left to acknowledge our presence. His eyes widen, and he returns to painting his canvas alone. As we walk a little bit further, we see a tree. It's very tall. It doesn't really have any branches until it gets to the very top. But what we do notice right around eye level is that there's a mirror on this tree. Now, continue to walk, and the next thing that we see are 3 beavers. One is assembling something. It's a water slide. So they're using their resources to assemble a water slide. So one of the beavers is actually hard at work making this water slide. The other beaver is, wow, just really enjoying himself sliding down this water slide repeatedly. And then the third one looks a bit worried. He looks like he's looking at this assembled slide for structural weaknesses. Like he seems very concerned. Okay, so we're going to keep walking. And then as we walk a little further, we are going to notice that in front of us appears a red triangle. And it's a red triangle, and it's completely filled in with the color red. Now, this is your decision. You can pass through it, you can go around it, you can hop over it, or you can levitate or fly over it. Okay, and so then as we continue on this path, whichever way you choose to go about the red triangle, it's completely up to you, and it is perfect. The next thing that we come upon is a very large tree. Now this tree is like the size of a car. It's huge in width. And we walk and walk and walk until we get right up next to this tree. And as soon as we're close enough to this tree, a door appears. As soon as we reach our hand towards the door, a doorknob appears. This doorknob has a sparkling, translucent color to it. And as we approach the knob to twist it, the door simply opens in front of us. What we see before us is a staircase that descends, and it is dark. So when we look to the right of us, there is a lantern. You can go ahead and grab this lantern. This lantern can be any color that you'd like. If a particular color comes to you, go ahead and remember that color. All right, so now we're going to descend this staircase. There are 27 steps. 27, 26, 25, 24, 23, 22, 21, 20, 19, 18, 17, 16, 15, 14, 13, 12, 11, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Now we've gotten to the bottom of the staircase and there is some light, so we can hang up our lantern. We notice next to the hook where we hung our lantern, there is a robe. Go ahead and wrap that robe around you. Make note of what color it is, what it smells like, what it feels like, what is it made of. Go ahead and tie that around you, and at the floor you'll see that there are 2 matching slippers that match the robe. And go ahead and turn to the right. As you continue to walk, you will see a fireplace. And the chimney of this fireplace is so long, we can't even see where it comes out. And we will see 2 chairs And in the middle of these two chairs, there's a square marble table. Go ahead and sit down in whichever chair you feel called to. Now, in the other chair, a version of you is going to appear. It could be any age. It could be the age you are now. It could be when you were younger. It could even be an age that you have not yet experienced. But whatever age this is, whatever age is coming to you, visualize that and sit in this space for just a few moments, because this version of yourself has 3 special words for you. These words can be adjectives, they can be feelings, they can be animals, they can be anything, but there are 3 words. When you are ready, look at the table. You will notice there is a notebook and a feather pen there. Open the notebook, take the feather pen, and write the 3 words that that version of yourself told you. You can spend a little bit more time here talking to this other version of yourself, hugging this other version of yourself. Whatever calls to you is perfect. We will stay in this space for just a few moments, and then we will come back together and we will go up the staircase again. All right, go ahead and finish telling this other version of yourself goodbye. And go ahead and stand up from the chair, walk back, hang up your robe, place your slippers back in their place, and go ahead and grab the lantern. Again, notice what color the lantern is. Is it the same color as it was before? Is it a different color? We are going to go ahead and go up these 27 steps. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27. Now we're at the top of the stairs. Go ahead and hang up your lantern, and as you reach for the doorknob appears and the door opens outward. We step outside of the staircase and the corridor, and the door closes behind us and returns to just being a tree again. We send tree our gratitude, and we turn around and we begin our journey back to the meadow. Again, we come upon the red triangle. You can do the same thing you did before, or you can do something completely different. You can crawl under it, walk through it, levitate, fly, or go around, or anything that comes to your mind. It is all perfect. The next thing we notice is the beavers. They've worked out a system. What is happening now is the one beaver that was showing so much trepidation over the structural integrity of the water slide, he's climbing up, and both of the other beavers, one has his hand, the other is kind of holding their hand behind his back, and he is sliding down. And as soon as he gets to the end, the amount of joy on his face is unsurmountable. His friends came together to help him enjoy this wonderful creative idea that they came up with together. All right, we wave goodbye to the beavers and we keep walking down the path. Again, we see the mirror on the tree. If you choose to stop and look, What do you see? Or maybe you prefer to simply walk by. Then the next item that we see are the swans. The swans have figured it out. The mother is confidently gliding through the water, and each of her twins are flanked on her side, forming a perfect V as they glide through the water with effortless ease. Then we also see Mr. Toad, and he is so into what he's doing, he didn't even notice us walking by. We can tell out of the corner of our eye that the canvas that was pretty blank when we first came through is almost finished, and it's full of vibrant colors. If any kind of an image or words or anything comes through for you, go ahead and take note of that. Now, as we keep walking, there are the fairies again, stopping right at our heart center. Oh, and they're giggling, and they're saying something in fairy speak. So whatever that is for you, if they're saying anything to you. And then the fairies often have very high tones when they speak. That's something they wanted me to share with you. So if this message is for you, work with the fairies, call upon your voice, and see how high you can get your octave when you're working with them. All right, now we keep walking, and we see those cutie pie little squirrels, and they are not arguing anymore, and this is the cutest thing I may have ever seen. It looks like they split the acorn in half, and they're each holding it, and they're sitting down, and it almost resembles when two people are watching a movie and eating popcorn. Like, this is kind of what it appears to be. So they're sitting, there's two trees that are right across from each other, and the trees each have a branch extending out to the other tree. And so the two squirrels are sitting down, very relaxed, with their half an acorn, and they definitely are watching something on the other tree. I can't see what it is. Perhaps something's coming up for you guys. Perhaps it's a movie, perhaps it's a play. It could be anything. But if anything's coming up for you, that's wonderful. And go ahead and take a note of that. All right, so now we've come to the end of the wooded forest, and we're going to walk again towards this meadow. And when we're ready, we're going to lay back down in this meadow, and we're going to feast our senses one more time, feeling that sunlight on our skin, seeing the sun coming in through our closed eyelids, smelling this fresh, subtle smell of these wild irises and wild violets. Feeling them sway back and forth against your bare legs, tasting that sweet, subtle taste. It's a little different now because some of the forest has landed on your lips, so you can taste a little bit of that as well. And of course, hearing the sweet coo of the birds. Now, we're going to come back to our physical vehicle, and remember, we surrounded ourselves with this golden orb of light. You can keep that up for as long as you'd like, but when you're ready, you can even pop it like you would pop a bubble, and then you can come back into your body, take as much time as you need, and when you're ready, go ahead and let your eyelids flutter open. All right, now, if anyone remembers the three things that the other version of yourself told you, go ahead and write those down now. All right, and then after you write those down, you don't have to jot them all down unless you feel called to, but recant everything that we saw. We saw the squirrels, we saw the fairies, we saw the swan, we saw the toad, the king of the toad. Don't forget that. What else? The red triangle, the mirror, and the beavers. Now, after taking into account all of the encounters that we had in the wooded forest, see if you can pair up the 3 words that the other version of yourself told you with one or more of the encounters that we had. So for example, the first thing that the other version of myself told me was truth. That was the first word. So the one that stands out for me with this would be the mirror. So I'll go ahead and draw a line from truth to the mirror. Then the next one for me was joy. Now, see, this is an example of when maybe more of them than one would fit. So for me, I can draw joy to the fairies. I can draw joy to the swans and the beavers. And then the third thing that my other version of myself told me was play. And absolutely, play for me in this particular journey corresponds with the beavers. So now basically what we're doing here is we're going to do some inner work after we leave here today, if you feel called to. So whenever I do energy work with anyone, I always have them take what resonates and just ignore the rest. So basically, so when I think about truth, I think about that mirror. So I'm going to spend time later and I'm going to meditate on truth and what it means to me. And if I looked in this mirror in this wooded forest, what is coming through for me? What is that vision of myself telling me about truth? And then of course, joy. You can use all 3, like I selected fairies, swans, and beavers, or you can pick the one that stands out the most. So for me, the one that stands out the most are the swans, and that's because, as you saw, I have a son. So that really stands out for me because my joy is radiated and reflected back by my son. And then of course, number 3 for me was play. So that one would definitely be the beavers because there have definitely been times when I was the person who was standing and like worrying and trying to figure out what I was going to do. And then because of the friends that I surround myself with, I was able to play. And what do we know about play? Like we don't worry about anything when we're in play. Okay, so I hope that all makes sense. If anyone has any questions, feel free, or if anyone would like to share, then that's perfect.
That's beautiful. Thank you.
Oh, thank you.
2, I've met the 88-year-old me often in meditations, and so that's
Oh,
what I saw. So that was kind of, I mean, I didn't have any expectations, but that was kind of cool to, meet her again.
oh. And you said 88-year-old?
Yeah, there's
That is
something about the
cool.
88-year-old version of me that comes through to just remind me that I'm on the right journey. And
I love that.
so it connected to the swans.
Okay,
And the
cool.
fact that it was a mom and 2 swans. I'm a Gemini, so it's the duality
Ah,
of um
I love that.
so that was pretty cool. So thank you for
Yeah,
that.
of course. Thank you. All right. And then if anyone else wants to share, that's perfect. If not, that's also perfect. It's so funny. My dog was also doing that in the middle, but that was like kind of a little bit of the theme of the day. There's been a lot of stuff happening all around, and I've been pretty good at just staying in my space. So, all right. Well, thank you guys for joining me. I will make sure that this gets up in the best timely fashion that I have the capacity for.
Take your time, no worries.
Yeah.
Um
And
I'm on-
hopefully we'll do this again soon. And yeah,
Yeah.
it'll be different next time. So that's the best thing. That's my favorite part about this is it's always different. They always have different things that they're trying to communicate with us, or maybe things that they're trying to get us to realize, or like you said, letting us know we're on the right track. So
Yeah. Awesome. Thank
Cool.
you so much.
thank you guys. Have a great rest of your night. Bye-bye.
Bye.